So, if you saw my video on the Triangle City Theorem, you might have noticed that I failed to mention the Works District even once during the full duration. While it could be easy to say that this was an oversight on my part, in reality, this was an intentional decision based on my experience playing the game. See, out of all the districts in the game, I actually rate the Works as the worst district, by a long shot. The reason might not seem obvious at first glance, especially given how important production seems to be in the early game. But trust me, as I explain myself, you will likely join me in not even bothering to research the work stack at all. So, to understand my harsh criticism of the district, we first have to understand the value of production, as, at least in a vacuum, production actually seems to be one of the better yields in the game. As you see, production is a very unique yield in Endless Legends. For one, it is the only yield that can be directly converted to a different one once certain texts have been unlocked. Although, in exchange for that, it is also the only yield that can't be stored. If you don't use your production for anything, you will just lose it. This actually creates an incentive to always be building something with it, which puts production in a direct competition with gold as the main way to build district, improvements, and military units. So, which one is more valuable then? In general terms, one yield of production will roughly generate the same amount of value as around 2.5 gold. Given this, the yield distribution that the Works District provides actually seems to be fairly competitive, if not actually better than that of a marketplace. At least if we assume some reasonable adjacencies or a rank up of the district, production yields are honestly a very efficient way to improve your capital. With this level of efficiency actually being the reason why I consider both the hydro pump improvement and the blast furnace to be key techs for the early game of Endless Legends. Just looking at it from this singular advantage alone, these two improvements can be roughly said to equate to around an extra 150 gold per turn in savings if used to their full potential. Not bad at all, especially for how early you can rush them. But wait, I thought there was a video about production being bad. Why does it sound only positive so far? And that, my friend, is why this video exists at all. See, production is a very strong yield, but only in the early stages of the game. As the game progresses and your cities grow bigger, you will notice very quickly that production cost of things will go way up, while your ability to get production will continue to stagnate. Costs go up at an exponential rate, nearly doubling with every same district build, while production struggles to catch up, mainly due to a lack of meaningful improvements that makes it really hard to get past the 250 mark without insane levels of investment. Past turn 100, it's not uncommon to see things like this. A Works District that will generate at most 7 production, requiring 3,600 production to build. It's pretty easy to see how bad of a deal this is, especially considering that most games can be ended as quickly as turn 120. And sadly, this is the reality the Work District finds itself in. Low yields, brutal diminishing returns, and extremely high production costs for everything mid-game and onwards. In the early game, where the highest production cost you will see is around 300, production will actually feel pretty good. In the mid-game, where the lowest production cost will be around 750, it will feel awful. Which brings me to the next disadvantage. Production is also city lock. The production of your capital can't be shared with the other cities. There's just no good way to convert production in one city to production in another. Gold, on the other hand, doesn't have this issue. Gold acquired from one city can just as easily be used in a different city where the exponential increase of production costs aren't as high. So, while production has the advantage when there's only one city due to it being slightly more efficient, the second you expand, gold will become the superior yield once again. And while one might think that production being able to turn into other yields could alleviate this difference, the reality is that production is not only too hard to get in high quantities, but it also converts at an awful rate. If we wanted to directly convert production into gold, our previous value equity of 1 production to 2.5 gold is now suddenly 4 production for 1 gold. An awful trade that not only makes this feature practically useless, but also makes it so that the best use of production is, funny enough, to discount the buyout of things with gold. So, where does that leave the Works District as of the current patch 7? Frankly, in a really bad spot. You only really want to pick 8 techs from every era in order to reduce the diminishing returns of science as much as possible. And well, neither the Works nor the Remove Woods feature provides much of an incentive to use. The Works is a really inefficient district in its current state, and chopping woods requires too much time for a miserably small bonus. For a short primer on chopping wood basically turns 3 turns of unit maintenance into 10 times the production value of a tile. In the early game, where you want to use it the most, it means turning 3 turns of a unit not fighting into 10 production. If we convert this to gold, we get around 25 gold. Or the equivalent of killing a single unit in combat. Chopping is just not worth it. Just like the tech as a whole. I usually skip this tech in favor of the scavenging tech. The additional damage and health means my units can fight for longer while suffering less damage, and the additional 25% battle spoils bonus will usually provide more value by itself than any number of Works District could possibly hope to achieve. If you can, avoid getting the tech altogether. If you need a cheap district to fill in the gaps in your empire, trading posts, bridges, and even keeps if you're desperate, are more likely to leave a lasting impact than the Works District. Production is still a valuable yield, but it is best to get it from population or improvements. As a district, the benefits are just too negligible. I hope this has helped in understanding the value of early production and the shortcomings of the Works District. This has been Portals out.